People say every house has a story, but some stories should never be told. My name is Ethan. 3 days ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I bought an old house hidden deep inside Blackwood Forest. A place everyone else was desperate to avoid. I thought I had found the deal of a lifetime. I had no idea someone else was already waiting for me. The previous owner had died under mysterious circumstances. At least, that's what the locals whispered. They claimed no family member had ever returned to collect the house. They said it had been abandoned for almost 20 years. I didn't believe in ghost stories. I believed in facts. And the fact was, I had just bought the biggest house I could afford for less than the price of a small apartment. To me, it was a bargain. Looking back now, I wish I had listened to the warnings. The silence inside the house was unnatural. There were no birds, no insects, not even the sound of the rain once I stepped inside. Every room looked as though someone had simply vanished. Plates were still on the table. Pots still rested on the old stove. Family portraits covered the walls. Yet every single face had been scratched beyond recognition. I told myself it was just vandalism, but deep inside, something didn't feel right. Then, I heard it. A slow, heavy footstep somewhere upstairs. As I began to unpack my things, I tried to convince myself I had made the right decision. The house was old, but it was mine. I unwrapped the last box when I suddenly froze. I heard it. A slow, heavy footstep coming from upstairs. At first, I blamed the old wooden floors, but then I heard another one. And another. Someone, or something, was walking above me. I grabbed my flashlight and headed toward the staircase. Every step I took echoed through the empty house. My heart pounded as I reached the second floor. I searched the bedroom, the hallway, every room I could find. But there was no one there. The footsteps had vanished. Yet the feeling that someone was watching me had only grown stronger. I stopped dead in my tracks. Something wasn't right. I couldn't hear the footsteps anymore, but I could still feel a presence somewhere in the hallway. I slowly turned toward the bedroom door. My flashlight trembled in my hand as I stared at it. The door stood perfectly still. I took one cautious step, then another. Every step echoed through the old house. I reached for the cold brass doorknob. My hand hesitated for a moment. I didn't know what I was expecting to find on the other side. Taking a deep breath, I slowly pushed the door open. The room was silent. Moonlight poured through the window, stretching long shadows across the floor. I swept my flashlight across the bed. The wardrobe, the walls, nothing. No one was there. Yet the feeling refused to leave. It still felt like someone was standing nearby, watching every move I made. And somehow, waiting for me to look in the wrong direction. I slowly backed away from the bedroom. Every instinct was screaming at me to leave, but something wouldn't let me. Then, I heard it. A whisper. So faint, I wasn't even sure it was real. It sounded like someone calling my name. Ethan? I froze. The voice seemed to come from somewhere farther down the hallway. I turned my flashlight toward the darkness. The hallway was empty. Every bedroom door was shut, except one. At the very end of the hall, a single door stood slightly open. I was certain it hadn't been opened before. My heart pounded against my chest as I walked toward it. Each step echoed through the silent house. The closer I got, the colder the air became. I stopped at the doorway. My flashlight disappeared into the darkness inside. For a moment, I saw nothing. Then the beam settled on something in the middle of the room. An old wooden rocking chair, covered in dust. It looked as though no one had touched it for years. I stared at it, trying to convince myself there was nothing strange about it. Then, without warning, the chair began to rock back and forth, back and forth. No wind, no one in the room, just the sound of old wood creaking in the silence. My hand started shaking. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Suddenly, the chair stopped. The silence that followed was even more terrifying. I couldn't move. It felt like the house I stood there, surrounded by darkness. For the first time, I realized I might never leave this house. Then my flashlight began to flicker. I prayed. It wouldn't die now. Without warning, everything went black. When the light returned, my blood ran cold. The chair was gone. Just seconds ago, it had been right there. Now, nothing. Then I noticed something. Fresh marks, dragged across the floor. They led into the darkest corner of the room. There it was. Somehow, it had moved across the room. Slowly, the chair turned toward me on its own. I couldn't move. Every instinct told me, run. Then, she was there, sitting quietly in the chair, waiting for me to see her. Then, she was there, sitting quietly in the chair, waiting for me to see her. I couldn't breathe. Every part of me wanted to run. Then, she slowly tilted her head toward me. I took one slow step backward, never taking my eyes off her. Boom! The bedroom door slammed shut behind me. I pulled at the handle. It wouldn't open. I turned around. She was gone. I searched every corner, but somehow, she felt closer than ever. Then something caught my eye. The wallpaper. It was peeling away. I reached for it, and behind the old wallpaper, I saw a small wooden door, one that had been hidden for years. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. Every instinct told me to walk away, but I had come too far to stop now. With shaking hands, I slowly pulled the hidden door open. A freezing rush of air escaped from the darkness, as if whatever had been trapped inside had been waiting for someone to find it. It wasn't another bedroom. It was a hidden room. Small, silent, completely cut off from the rest of the house. Everything inside was buried beneath years of dust. It looked like someone had vanished, without ever coming back. My flashlight stopped on the photographs. At first, they looked ordinary. Then I noticed her. The same woman, standing quietly in every single picture. She never smiled. She only watched. On an old wooden table, I found a diary. Its cover was cracked with age. The pages were yellow and brittle. Someone had written inside it, almost every day, until the entries suddenly stopped. I turned to the final page. The handwriting had become shaky, like the writer knew they didn't have much time left. Then I read the last sentence. If you see her, don't let her know you're afraid. My hands began to tremble. I slowly lowered the diary. Then every hair on my body stood up. Something had changed. I wasn't alone anymore. I could feel someone standing behind me, breathing in complete silence. I turned around, and there she was, closer than I could have imagined. She slowly reached one hand toward me. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. Fear had frozen my entire body. Then, she raised her head. Her hair slowly fell away from her face. I saw eyes that looked completely lifeless, a face twisted by something no human should ever become. That was the moment I finally screamed. I ran. I didn't care where I was going. I stumbled down the stairs, crashed into walls, and never looked behind me. All I wanted was to get out of that house alive.
By sunrise, I was miles away from that house. I never went back. But some places don't let you leave completely. Even now, I still see her face in my nightmares. And every time I